Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Abhyas Projects. So in this video we will resume from where we left, that is connecting our app with the database, and then we'll also show you how to save the inputs from the forms into the database. So for that, what we have to do is to first create the database tables. So we have to open our workbench. First requirement. Okay, so it is created. Now, first of all, we have to create separate database for this application. We should give name like dp underscore school. Now, with all character sets and these two features as default. Let me apply this. So it is created. Okay. So it is created now. As you can say, this database is created. Now, the second thing what we have to do is to create the tables. Okay. So to create tables, let me go to the query. Yeah. So we have to connect here. We have to execute. Okay. So we have already this schema ready. So we'll try to execute both the schemas. One is the TBL login user, and second is for the student details. Execute this. Okay, so we have not selected the database. So you should remember, like we have to write use TP underscore school, and then we should execute these two queries. So both the tables are created. If we just refresh it, so as you can see, these two tables are created. Okay. So as we have created the tables, now we have to make some arrangements so that we can connect our app, which is running here, okay, with the database. So first, what we'll do is we'll create the register page, which is already in the UI side. It is created. So we'll first try to save the registration, okay, using database, and then we'll try to make the login page active by validating it or by authenticating it, whatever details we have submitted. So for that, we have to install couple of dependencies. So let me first stop the Flask server. Now we have to install certain things, like we have added, as you can see, render template. Now we require, because we are not simply uh, returning the things, we require render template because we have to show the HTML pages. Request also we require, because now we have to, if we want input details, input field values. So in that case, we require request. Then we also require session. Okay, so because we'll logging and then validating it, and we don't want like any unauthorized user can see our internal pages. So for that we have session, and redirect is also required, because while logout will simply redirect them to the default page, that is login page. So these are the some of the dependencies which we have already imported. Second important thing is the pandas. It may require, because sometimes executing queries using MySQL will create some issues sometime, and it is easier to handle queries using pandas, but we'll see. So we are just keeping it into our this thing import. Now the important thing is the MySQL, because we want to connect our MySQL with the application. For that we have to install MySQL. So a couple of things we want to install here. First is the MySQL. Next is the passlib. Okay, these are the two main things that we want to install. So these are already installed in our case, so it shows it is already satisfied. Now, as we have imported this, so what is the use of passlib? So passlib generally used for cryptography, okay, because we want to create hash of the password using cryptography, and those hashed password will be saved in our database. So we'll not be saving the plain password, plain textual password, we'll save the hash. And while validating also, we'll use this crypto context for again decoding the password into normal text and then compare. So it will make the process a little cumbersome for the attackers, and it will make your application more secure. Date time we require because as you see in our database, we have kept one field that is ID, date time, okay, date time during creation, and also date of joining we require. So that also date is required, okay. So now next important thing is that because we are going to code the login and registration page. So one very important thing we require is the secret key, because once we introduce the introduce session variables and login and authentication, then in that case this secret key is very much required, okay, to make the application secure, and it helps our application remain robust against attackers. Okay. So here what we have to do is os.urandom. Okay. And we have to generate number of random number of integers which will act as a key uh, in every session. So every session should have one secret key attached to it. So this will make the session always independent to the previous sessions. Okay, it make your session every time unique. So here we'll taking it as higher number, let's say 56. Okay, so this is one thing. Next, what we want is the we have to define this passlib. Okay, so what cryptographic algorithm will use, how many rounds of cryptography we should use. So for that we have to uh, mention the passlib and create the one password context so that we can use to encrypt the password. So for that we have already taken it here. Let me just copy it to make the things faster. So this we have created. So here we are using password context and creating the password context out of that. In this we have used crypto context which we have imported. And here we are mentioning two things, that is scheme SHA-256. This is the algorithm we are using. And the default number of rounds for encryption we have set it as 30,000. The higher the number, the more robust your algorithm is. Second important thing we require is the MySQL connections. So for that, what we require is the connection level. So let me just copy this and paste it here. So see, this is the MySQL.connect method. In this, what we are doing is basically we are supplying certain parameters like host. So in our case, it is local host. User, in our case, it is root. Password we have mentioned. DB is DB underscore school. Okay. And these two things are default. We should keep it as it is. So this is also ready in our case. So we have created password context. We have created connection. Now we have to code our registration page first, because once we register, then only we can again try to log in it. Okay, so for that we have to code the registration page. So for that, let me just copy this and then I'll explain you what we are doing in this case, so that it will be easier and faster to do the thing, else this video will be very, very longer. So here we have added one thing like add user. Okay, this is the function, this is the actual route we have coded, add user. So let me go to the register page. Here if you see, this is the form tag. Okay, And here we have mentioned two things, method and action. And in the previous video also I told you these two things are very important, which signifies, method signifies that whatever thing we'll be inputting into the form, we'll have to post it once we submit, once we click it on any button, submit button. And action is the which function we should call on submitting the button. So this is add user. So this is basically the route we have to mention where we have coded the things for handling this form. So as you can see here, we have created this add user and method is post. And here we are, first thing what we are checking is whether this method is post or not. Okay, so that is important. So after that we have to receive all the parameters, all the values which we actually inputting into the registration page. So let me show you our page. So this is the login page and this is the, okay, sorry, I think we have not started. Yeah, let me start again. Flask application. So as we can see, this is our Flask application running now. So when we click on register, so this is email, password, confirm password. Okay, these two things we have to uh, mention because we are registering. So here what we'll do is, here the important thing is uh, we have to receive all these input values like name is the email, password and the conf password. So here we'll do one thing. So we have collected email, okay, password, and we have now what we are doing is we are converting this password into, by encrypting it. Okay, so whatever password we are receiving in the form of plain text, we are converting into a SHA hash. Okay, so converting into hash code, and that hash code will be saved into the system, into the database. And now we are also creating one variable for datetime.now because we want to save the date. Now the important thing is, before checking anything, we have to check one thing, that is whether the password, the second password, conf password, is same to the this password or not, okay, before doing anything. So for that, we have to also receive that password, okay. So let me introduce that password also. Conf password is equal to request dot conf, and this will be conf underscore pass. I guess this is the name, conf underscore pass. Okay. So we have received this also right now. So now we have to do one thing first. Okay, that is whether this if password which we have entered in the first text box, it is same to the conf password or not. Okay, that is the thing. If it is the case, then we'll execute everything which is going on here. Okay, whatever we are doing till this point, we will do that. Okay, just we have to. So that is this thing. So we have to align the things. Now the important thing is that in case if this is not the case, okay, if this is not the case, then what we have to do is we have to create one else, and we have to say like please enter the same password. So here we should create one variable, MSG is equal to kindly enter same password in both cases. Okay. Now we have to now render. Okay, so for that we have to return render template, and here we have to only render the register page because here some mistake. Then we have to pass message is equal to msg. Yep. Now this message, if you see, okay, if we see this message, let me need to do this. So if we see this message, we have to show in the register page if the both passwords are not seen. Okay. So what we have to do is where we have to show. So we can show it in the top of this school management system. So what we'll do is just simply copy it. We have already copied. So here we should pass it, and this is the message. So like this, we can pass anything from the Python backend, that is this message, into the page, that is the.html. So double curly braces and the variable. So it will show you the warning message. Now this is done. Now we have to code the other things like this thing. So this is matches. Now we'll execute the query. Okay, like whether this email is already registered or not. That we have to check first. So for that we are executing this query, and it is not required that we should also take token and all, and only email and password from this to the user. And here we have to pass it as %s. Okay, in MySQL we have to pass it as %s, and we have to pass this as a parameter while doing the cursor.execute. Okay, so this is statement which is a string, and this variable which is the actual variable. Okay. So like that, so it will execute the query, and then we have to do the cursor.fetchAll. So what it will do, it will give us a list of tuples, okay, for all the records. How many records, whatever records we'll get from this, from executing this query, okay. So we can also do fetch one, okay, and we can also do fetch all. So I'm doing fetch all. You can also do fetch one. So it will execute only the one record. So now we got this variable in which we have list of tuple. Now we have to iterate over this items and see whether anything is there in this or not. Okay. So just assume the situation if we are trying to register into the system, and with this the email with which we are trying to register is already present, then we should give one message that this email ID is already exists. There is no requirement for registering it again. Okay. So for that, we have to pass it in the form of, again, message. And similarly, we have to pass it like message. And this. So same thing will show in the UI. Now this is handled. If it is already present, it will show you this email ID is already exists. Now in the else part, we'll create again, we'll also execute again query in which we'll actually execute our insert statement. That is this email ID we want to register, which is new one, and now we want to insert it. So here a couple of things we require, like email, password, which we already get, and this password should be this encrypted password. Okay, password. Now so we have to pass it like this, and we have to pass it like in the values %s. One important thing is whatever you are inserting in Flask with MySQL, you have to pass it in the form of %, whether you are inserting integer value, whether you are inserting string value. Okay. So now the same thing, we have to do cursor.execute, and we have to pass statement, then email, password, which is the encrypted one, token, which we have just initialized as default, and the date. Okay, because we require the date of registration, which we have already created as datetime.date. Now we have to commit it, and then we have to close the cursor. That is very, very important. Okay, if we do not close it, then it will give you some error, and it will also not save it properly. So two things very important: we have to close the connection, and we have to commit the connection, and we have to close the cursor. If you want anything after that, you have to again reopen the connection and do the query. Okay. Now again, what we have to do, we have to again return vendor template with the message that the user is successfully registered. Okay. So user registered successfully. Okay. Kindly log in into the system. And we don't require this. Basically, we require MSG. This is my mistake. This is very big mistake. You have to just copy this. You cannot pass this here. Okay, and here we have to pass our register page, register.html with double quotes. And then we have to pass it MSG message, because we have this named variable MSG. Okay, so now we have handled all the situation. Okay, so now we can check whether we are able to register into the system or not. Okay, so let me check. App is already running. Okay, so let me rerun it because it is running for very long. So let me then restart it and then run it. So first we have to register. So let me do this. No solution @gmail.com. Password. So okay, it's my mistake. MSC it is shown. Let me see what happened. Uh, we don't know whether it is inserted or not. Let me check. What we can do is we can check in the login user. So it is already inserted. Okay. So what we have to do now is we have to see what is happening in the register. What we have done, we have passed the message. Now here, if we see, if we have inserted properly, then this is the message. Okay, this is the problem. We have to pass the variable instead of the labels. Then it will show you proper message. We have to check whether everything where we have done that. Okay. So now it will give you proper message. So as we have seen, we have properly inserted one record. We have registered into the system. Now we have to code the validation part. So one thing done, second task is the validation. So after login, where is the login? Login a little low. Yes. Okay. So this is the login, which is our default. Now we have to insert, we have to paste the code, or we have to write the code of login validation. So let me copy it, that getting coded. And I keep something correction to make you understand, because I have not added everything in this code. Okay. So here what we are doing is, again, we are checking whether this method is post or not. Okay. Let me go to the login page. This is the action. This is the method post. And again, we have to do one thing. We have to paste that message thing. Okay. Because if we do some mistake, it should show that it is a mistake. Okay. So for that, we have to go to the register and we just copy this one-to-one and then just paste it here. So that is done. Good. Now we should go here. Okay, so now in login validation, what we are doing is we are again receiving the email. We are receiving the password. We remove this. Okay, so we get the email, we get the password. to see what is the name of the variable. That is email. It is pass. Okay. Now again we are opening the connection. Why? Because we have to check whether this email already exists in our system or not. If it is not exist, then sure shot it is not in our system, and we'll just say that it's not a proper ID to log in into the system. So this is first thing we have checked. Next, if it is there, let's say if something is there, then it will give you. So that is one mistake. Let me just copy this. So what will happen? Let's say we have queried into the system and nothing exists. Okay. So in that case, it will give error because we are iterating into the items, which is already not present. So for that, we have to basically put the condition here first. If items, okay, if anything is there in the item, then only we should execute this. We should iterate over the items. Okay. This is the main thing. Okay. So if we get the items here, then we will say that we should iterate over it, and because it is a list of tuples, and then we'll fetch the actual password from the system, from the query, okay, in the variable hashed. Okay. Now, next what we can do is, if it is there, so we don't require this thing because it is already checked now. What we have to check is password context dot verify. Now we'll be in one line, we'll try to verify what password we have given and with the hashed password. So what it will do, it will convert this password into the hash and check with the previous hash, which is already stored with that mapped email ID, and see whether these two passwords are matching or not. If it is matching, it means true. Then what we'll do is to note this, then it means the email is in our system, the password is matching, then we'll allow him to enter into the system and go into the home.html page. So here we are doing two things. We are putting session.permanent is equal to true. Okay, and we are also creating one variable, session user ID is equal to. This will help us in future to maintain the session and will not create any issues without login. Okay. Now the question is, if it doesn't exist, okay, let's say your this thing. Okay. So let's say if so, what we have to do is here we have to align it with this. Okay, because if items, then these things will happen. Okay. If it doesn't exist, let's say if the items are not there, it means the email ID is not there, then we have to say by MSG, like email ID doesn't exist. No, register. Okay, and here we'll say message is equal to. So this is one condition we have handled. Now again, this condition. So this else also we have to handle. What is this? Like if this verification failed, like email ID is right, but password is wrong. Okay, then what we have to do is, we have to simply say with the message, we'll simply say with the message, like, kindly provide valid email ID. Okay, so and we will redirect, we'll render the login page. Okay, in both the error pages, we'll have to render it into the login.html. Only when all the conditions are satisfied, then only we'll render it into the home.html or redirect into the home.html with session directions. Okay. Now we have to check whether whatever we have coded it's working or not. Okay. So let me go to the this page. Mm, mm, mm. So what we'll do, we'll write our email ID. It is saying kindly provide correct email ID. So I have actually provided wrong to just check whether it is working or not. Now let me keep the right email ID. So we successfully logged into the system. It means our app is now connected with the database. We have valid entry into the database. We have also validated with the password. Okay. So everything is working now. Now the next task is to code the student page. Okay. This add student. So for that, we have to also pass it into the proper, we have to handle it with the proper route. Okay. So we have to go to the home page now, and we have to see where is the student. This is our student. Okay, this is the drop down. This is our navigation. Okay, navigation. We have home. We have student. This is the student. This add student. This is edit student. So one thing I'll do. I'll not do edit. Okay, I'll not do edit right now. I'll also remove edit here. We'll do it in the table itself, not the page. Okay. So I'll just keep one thing within the student, that is add student. In future, we can also add more things into the student that we'll see later. So right now, we'll only handle the add student to make the student entry into the system. So to add a student, we have to create one route which we have created. I don't think so. Yeah, we have created. So add student we have already created. So once we click on add student, uh, it will redirect us into the form page. So this is our form. One important thing here is in Flask we can handle form in two different ways. One is the WTF forms, which is Flask supportable forms, and in that we can do some design, but not in terms of individual fields. We can apply design CSS onto the whole frame, but we cannot control each and every field. So let's say if you want to handle phone with some specific design and anything that you cannot do. So that's why right now I'm only using the normal HTML forms using CSS. Okay. So here, as you can see, these are the fields which we have to enter, and in this we have to code certain things. Okay. So let me do one thing. So what we have to do right now is in add student, okay, we have to create what is the add student. So this is our form. Okay. Here we have to create one method, one route, which will handle this thing, which is we have already mentioned as insert student. So that we have to actually uh, insert and create. Okay, insert student. So let me go here. We'll do that. Insert, and that name should be same everywhere, else it will confuse us, or else it will also show errors sometimes. Okay. Sometimes it means everything. So now we have created another route, that is insert student, and in this we'll receive all the input values. Okay, but for that we know that what we have to do, we have to copy this thing request dot method, because we have to check first whether it is a post request or not. Okay. Now what we have to do is, yeah. So now we'll first thing what we'll accept is the full name. Okay, so where is, so here we have first thing as registered number. So in registration number, we'll not be entering anything. It will be auto generated because we have applied auto increment into it. Let me show you. If we go to student details schema. So if you see, this is already auto increment. And this registration number is our primary key also. As you can see here, we have mentioned. So that's why we'll not be going to enter anything into it. It will be automatically generated and will be shown into the system itself once we visit into the system. So to make it operational in a perfect sense, once we open the system, it should show the next available registration number to the student which we're going to add. So here we have to do some things like this is fine. The registration number is okay, all okay. But for that, we have to, before coding the insert student, we have to handle it into the add student. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to execute one select query like this. Okay. Let me do that. And we have to check whether anything is there in our student database or not. So what we'll do is, okay, let me just execute, run the query. There is nothing is there. Okay. So reg payment. So what we'll do, simply we should do select a register number from TBL underscore student. I think this is the name of the student details. Okay. Now here we have to not, we don't have to do anything in the where clause. We have to simply check whether any register number is there in it or not. Okay. And we have to execute it. There is no parameter to pass, and we'll simply take everything in the fetch all. Okay. Because here we may have multiple registration numbers. Okay. So now what we'll do, we have to visualize one thing, like let's say we have couple of registration number already entered. We have to select the maximum available. So what is there in the system? We have to just add one into it. Okay. So what we have to do, max of registration number, okay, plus one. And that will be our as a available registered AV. So before doing anything, we should execute it in the query, okay, as AV, which now it is button. So it is one. Okay. Now we'll just copy it and we'll see for a couple of inputs that is type or not should work perfectly. So what it will do, if there is nothing in that, so it will show one as the available input. Okay. So for that, what we have to do is for item in items, okay, we have to create one variable that is reg in is equal to items, and you have to pass this Now we understand why we have created this. So to just refer it. Now we'll do one thing, veg mono is equal to veg. And that will pass directly into this. Um, so, okay. So what we have done actually here, um, so we should pass, to just show it, we have passed it as disabled, so that no one can change it. You see here, it is dim. It is not activated because this number is automatically generated. We're not going to touch it. The user should not able to change it. So that's why we kept it as disabled. But if we use it and try to save it into the database, it will give error because it is disabled. Cannot save disabled values from the input. That's why we have created again one input, which is hidden value, hidden text box. And here we can pass it our values. Here also we can pass the value. Value is equal to what is there? Resume. Similarly, we can do same thing here, so that we can actually save it. Okay? Or else we also don't require, because if we don't mention this region, that is also fine. So we'll not keep it here. To just show, we should keep it like this. Okay. So this is the thing. Let me show you how it is running now. So there is one error in insert school. Okay, because we have not coded it. Let me comment it. Because we have to check whether that registration number is working or not. Whether automatic registration number is coming or not. So again, we have to log in. Again, go to our screen, it show you one. So that's it. We have done it. Now we have to make it functional. Okay. Everything here we should make it. So what we'll do is, now we'll code this part. We have done the registration part. Now to do this, we have to receive everything. That is, first thing is our full name. So what is there in the full name? We go here, that is full underscore name. Okay, so we have to give it f name, or we can simply give f name equal to request for form, that is full name. So this is the first thing. Second thing we have is the gender, and the name is gender. So for gender, we'll simply say, because it is the drop down, so what we'll do is request dot form dot get and pass the gender. That is the difference between receiving the textual input field and the drop down. For drop down, we have to do the get form dot get. Now again, if we go here, what is the next? So next is our date of birth, UOP. Then we have age. Okay. UOP. This form should be UOP. Next, we'll be keeping the age with form age. What else? What else? What else remaining? Age we have done. Now we have all of things more. Phone. So phone we are keeping it phone. Email we are keeping it email. So phone is first dot phone. We are going to copy and paste, and we are going to Mhm. Now, what else? Email we have done class, and then after class, nothing, only full apps. Okay. So class, okay, we have to enter. So to enter the class, I will have to do the same thing. Yes, it is class only. Now for full address, what is the name? Okay, full address. So full address. Okay, we cannot give the class, so we'll give class. Now full address. For full address, we'll do request dot on, and here we will pass full address. So now we have everything, and nothing else is remaining now. So what we'll do is simply we will do the insertion and will not do any validation. The reason for that is we've already done it. If you see in every text field we have mentioned is actually required. So if you don't mention anything into it, it will give you runtime error. Oh, sorry, it is give you client side error only. You are not able to insert it. Okay? So that is the thing. And here we have to handle it. Okay? Gender, and then yes. Okay. So gender, we have to handle it. So what we'll do if gender equal to we have value like what value we have default value. So we don't have we have 0. So if we have 0, so we'll say simply that with the message kindly select gender. We'll do return gender template, and then again add student dot html, then g is equal to so keep the variable name there. So what we'll do again, we'll do one thing, very common thing. Copy this thing, paste it. Okay. So and we'll mention it as finished. So it will give the error message of 200. So we have handled this thing also. Now we have to insert it. So for insertion, we have to do again couple of things. And if we check, we also have date type. Okay, so check here. We have date of joining. So we are actually wanting that the administrator should enter the date of joining. Mhm. But the thing is, we have not handled it here because we are assuming that whatever date he is entering, it will be the default date for that today's date. Okay. So for that, we have to create one variable. Dt is equal to date time dot date time dot. So this is we have created. I think this was picked up. So dt is created. Now we have to copy one thing, that is the insertion step. Okay, so we'll just copy it, make the thing simple and faster. Now here we'll insert some values. This is not required. This is also. We'll not pass it here. here. So insert student. So we don't have insert student.html first of all. So we have only add student.html and we have to pass the message. Okay, in case we able to successfully insert the records. So for that, we have to mention a couple of things here. So first thing, will not be going to enter the resume because it is automatic generated. We don't need it to insert from the text box. So what we have is student underscore full name. Okay. Student underscore full name. Next variable is gender, DOB, age, phone, no. Gender, DOB, age, phone number, email, class, phone, class, and then we have date of June. Should be that today's. Okay, so we are done. So how many columns we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 more. Now that's it. It is done. Now we have to execute it. So for executing, we have to mention the statement and we have to pass all the variables in. DT already is there, which is our last variable. Okay. Apart from that, we have to mention all the variables. So first is the F name. Second is gender. This. Next is DOP. I guess it is DOP. Age. Then we have phone. Then we have email. Then we have class name. Okay. Class name. Then we have full address and then date of birth. So this is the sequence, the same sequence we have mentioned here. So once it is inserted, we will say student got added. Okay, okay. Not sure error, I hope, because we are putting what we want. It should be 9. Okay. Now we just copy it. I think now it will not allow us to insert the check because it is the code is changed. Yeah. Student underscore full name. Okay, what is the name? Student underscore full name. Use student. It is right only, right? Let me do anything. Okay. Do again. Now, we'll do this techno solution with Gmail. Now we'll do and we'll directly proceed to the add student section. Here we'll mention, let's say, Tom. Okay, we'll put in with 2, 2, age maybe 35. Months. email maybe um, uh, plus 1 for LA. Now it is saying that it is unknown column. That means student check. Okay, we are inserting TBL login. The table name is TBL student. That's right. Okay, let me do that. Second, everything is fine. Student record item successfully checked. Okay, so we have the data. Okay, so we have successfully completed this task also. We have coded this page to enter the data from the student records into it. We've also coded the login and registration page. In the next video, we'll try to code the marks piece, and we'll also code the report section, which will show all the 3 types of reports based on the entry into our system. Okay, so till then, have a good day. Let's meet in the next video to learn the marks and pieces.